critical cash and food assistance. Jordan is not immune to growing regional instability. Many Palestinian refugees there are highly vulnerable to social and economic shocks. In this time of profound crisis and uncertainty, Palestinian refugees across the region are turning to UNRWA, and the agency has never been in greater peril. Madam Chair, the implementation of the Knesset legislation will have catastrophic consequences. In Gaza, dismantling UNRWA will collapse the United Nations humanitarian response, which relies heavily on the agency infrastructure. Glaringly absent from discussion about Gaza without UNRWA is education. Palestinians value education highly. It is the only asset from which they have not, until now, been dispossessed. In the absence of a capable public administration or state, only UNRWA can deliver education to more than 660,000 girls and boys across Gaza. In the absence of UNRWA, an entire generation will be denied the right to education. Their future will be sacrificed, sowing the seeds for marginalization and extremism. Before the war, UNRWA addressed 70 to 80% of primary healthcare needs in Gaza. We still provide 16,000 medical consultations each day. In the West Bank, UNRWA's collapse would deprive at least 50,000 children of education and 500,000 Palestinian refugees of primary health. Dismantling UNRWA will not terminate the refugee status of Palestinians. This status exists independently of the agency, but it will severely harm their lives and future. The Knesset legislation strikes a terrible blow to our staff. 17,000 staff in the occupied Palestinian territory fear that they will lose their employment. They also fear further attacks legitimized by these laws. And it is a valid fear. Just last week, a female staff member in the West Bank was detained, intimidated, and harassed by Israeli security forces. They accused her of working for a terrorist organization, seized her UNRWA laptop, and used it to access internal information, a total violation of United Nations privileges and immunities. Despite everything they have been through, my staff is afraid that the worst is yet to come. Excellencies, I will conclude by reiterating 3 requests I made to Member States last week and making an additional request. First, I ask that Member States act to prevent the implementation of the legislation against UNRWA. Changes to UNRWA mandate are the prerogative of the General Assembly, not individual Member States. Second, I ask that Member States ensure that any plan for a political transition delineates UNRWA's role. The agency must progressively conclude its mandate within the framework of a political solution and in the occupied Palestinian territory and over its services to an empowered Palestinian administration. Third, I ask that Member States maintain funding to UNRWA and do not withhold or divert funds on the assumption that the agency can no longer operate. The cost of providing critical services, including education and healthcare, during a transition will be immense. My final request concerns the future of our multilateral system and the United Nations, of which UNRWA is an integral part. I ask that Member States utilize all the legal and political tools at their disposal to ensure that the international rules-based order is upheld. The United Nations and its staff are in increasingly untenable position if the legal and political framework within which we operate does not hold, we cannot stay and deliver. I urge you to consider seriously what that would mean for our collective future. Thank you.